You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. For this episode, I wanted to invite us to root into the symbology of a story. And so I invite you to listen with an open heart, similar to how you would have as a kid in a story circle or at bedtime. I invite you to let the images dance across your mindscape and to find resonance in a way that is unique to your inner wisdom. Let's dive in. Once in a valley carved by the winds of time and softened by the gentle hand of the earth, there lived a mighty river. This river, known as Viva, was more than just a body of water. It was a symbol of life itself, flowing unceasingly, carving paths through mountains, nourishing the soil, and giving rise to villages and dreamers alike. Viva was a sacred river, worshipped not because of its ferocity, but because of its ability to flow with unwavering grace through all seasons of life. At the edge of the river lived a young willow tree known to the forest as Elowin. She was delicate and slender, with long drooping branches that swayed in the gentle breeze. Her roots dug deep into the earth, entwining themselves with the river's pulse, understanding the currents that moved beneath the surface. Elowin grew up listening to the stories of the river, the tales of its great journey, the places it had seen, and the vastness it touched. It was, after all, no small thing to be born so close to such a mighty force. One day, as Elowin swayed in the warmth of the sun, a sudden storm approached. The sky darkened with thick, swirling clouds, and the wind picked up in mighty gusts. The villagers scattered, seeking shelter, and the frightened birds took flight, forming a great arc across the sky. But Elowin stood still, anchored to her roots by the river's steady rhythm. The storm, however, was not one to be ignored. The clouds thickened until the sky was nothing but shadow. The first raindrop fell heavily to the earth, followed by a torrent drenching the land with a heavy force. The river, usually a calm and soothing presence, began to swell in response. Viva's usual gentle flow turned to a roiling, churning force, its waters crashing with furious energy. The current, usually so slow and deliberate, now raged against the banks, pulling at Elowin's slender roots. The wind, now howling through the trees, whipped her delicate branches back and forth, shaking her frame to its core. "Hold firm, Elowin," a voice called from the river, rising above the storm's roar. It was Viva, speaking as it always did, in a way that felt like a distant whisper, even amidst the chaos. But Elowin, feeling the full weight of the storm, trembled. "I cannot hold against this power," she whined to herself, her leaves quivering under the pressure of the wind. "I am not like the mighty oak, whose strength lies in the thickness of its trunk. I am fragile and thin. How can I stand against this fury?" Her branches bent further with the wind, and she could feel the ground beneath her tremble as the water surged higher, creeping toward her, threatening to dismantle her stability. As the storm raged on, Elowin's fear grew. She fought against the current, stretching her branches toward the dark sky, hoping for a respite. The more she resisted, the more the storm pressed upon her, bending her closer to the earth. At that moment, she heard a soft voice from the shore, a gentle but firm voice that seemed to come from deep within the earth itself. It was the voice of an older willow tree, one who has weathered many storms. Elwyn, the voice called, calm and soothing. Why do you resist? Elwyn turned toward the voice. I resist because I fear the storm. I fear the water that surges around me. I fear the force of nature, and I fear that I'm too weak to withstand it. The older willow, its branches heavy with the wisdom of time, chuckled softly. But my dear, it is not your strength that you need to rely on. It is your ability to flow within the rhythm of the storm, to bend with its current. The more you resist, the more you will be bent. But if you surrender to the force, you will find that you are not crushed by it. Instead, you will move with it, dance with it, as the river moves with the land. Elwyn felt a pang. What did it mean to flow with the storm? How could she bend without breaking? She watched as the great river surged around her, its waters rising higher and her roots struggling to maintain their grip on the earth. You see, the elder willow continued, the storm is like the force of life itself. It is the frenzy, the fear, and the push to control. But you, dear one, are like the river. You must flow, not force. When you flow, you allow the currents of life to guide you. When you force, you block your own path. Trust the process. Trust that you will not be drowned in the storm. Elwyn hesitated, but something in the elder willow's words felt true. Her roots were deep within the earth, and she could feel the pulse of the river running through her, guiding her. The storm raged on, but Elwyn stopped trying to stand still against it. She allowed her branches to sway in the wind, bending with the gusts. She allowed the water to rise around her, feeling its pull without fear. She moved with the storm, letting it carry her rather than fighting against it. And then, as if by magic, the storm began to lose its intensity. The wind softened, the rain slowed, and the clouds began to part. The river, once furious and wild under the influence of the storm, returned to its gentle natural flow, and Elwyn, now drenched and exhausted, found herself standing strong, rooted in the earth, her branches still reaching toward the sky. It wasn't the storm that was breaking her. It was her resistance to it, her unwillingness to flow with it. But now, as the storm passed, Elwyn understood. She had learned that there is power in surrender, in trusting the process, in bending rather than breaking. She had learned a new faith in the flow of life, and that is what allows her to thrive, even in the face of the fiercest obstacles. As the sky cleared and the sun began to shine once again, Elwyn stood taller than she ever had before. She had not only survived the storm, she had grown because of it. And she realized that this terrifying storm was not her enemy. It had been the very thing that had shaped her and had given her the wisdom to understand the deep connection between herself and the world around her. It was the catalyst to understanding her rooted strength and resilience. From that day on, Elwyn stood with a quiet strength. She no longer feared the ferocious storms that threatened to destabilize her and throw her off balance. For she knew that in each one, there was a gift. She knew that every challenge, every wave of fear, and every moment of frenzy had the potential to shape her into something even greater. She trusted. She had faith. She trusted herself, and she had faith in the flow of life. And so the young willow tree grew, not with rigid strength, but with a graceful flexibility. She had learned the truth. To flow with the current is to trust that all things are unfolding as they should, even when we cannot yet see the end of the journey from the vantage point of the undulating chaos. To flow with life is to know that even in the most difficult times, there is beauty to be found. There is magic in the journey, and the path will always reveal itself when we stop trying to force our way forward. And so, Eowyn became a symbol of resilience and grace, a reminder to all who passed by that life is not about fighting against the storms, but about learning to dance with them. Until next time.